Why is it the government's job? What's it got to do with the government? I think at this point, people know the difference. We are all educated, and that's all we can do, educate. People know a plate of chips is going to get you fatter than a salad. People make a choice, and being fat is a choice. I'm going to say that.
Unless, of course, you've got something like Cushing's or a disease.
Very few people have health conditions that affect their weight.
That's true.
And that we have to understand that they do, and that's fair enough. But for the most part, it's a personal choice. And people should have that right to choose whether they want another chocolate bar or not. It's not the government's role to say otherwise. It's not our role to say otherwise. You know, we're sitting on the panel. All three of us have chosen not to be fat. We could have chosen the opposite and eaten more burgers. Education, discipline, personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Calvin, although I do think in this case, I mean, marketing sugary and high-fat foods to children. I mean, we don't let people market cigarettes to children. We don't let people market crack cocaine to children. You know,
it's illegal, isn't it?
There's yeah, exactly. It's illegal. We have laws and rules to protect people from their own impulses.
But the food is legal.
So I do need to caveat there is a difference because you're right to raise that. You know, it's a choice for adults. If a child is fat, that is a child abuse situation. Yeah, that's their parents' responsibility.
So you think that an overweight child is an abuse?
There should be no such thing as an obese child. There should be no such thing.
Once you hit 18, you can decide to eat Krispy Kremes instead of salad. Up until then, you know, I agree with Calvin. You know, it can be it's poor parenting. Yeah. Also, I mean, some parents, you know, work so hard and have so few hours to prepare and cook food. You know, they want convenience food, and convenience food isn't always the healthiest thing. So I think maybe education around, you know, if you make a chickpea stew with like aubergine and canned tomatoes, it's very cheap, very nutritious, very tasty, much nicer than having some chips. Even if the kids scream, Daddy, I want chips, you know, don't listen to them.
No, be the adult, be the parent.
Yeah, be the parent. Lay down some rules.
So you think that people who are overweight, they haven't taken leave of their senses, they're just eating too much?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of issues right now that we've got in this country. So we've had lockdown, so we've locked people indoors right next to the fridge for a year and a half, which seemed a nonsense thing to do, considering obesity is a risk factor in COVID. People should have been down the gym or out running. So that was ridiculous. That's, you know, obviously contributed to everybody being gargantuan land whales at the moment. And the other issue is our society normalises and fetishises fatties. So if you go on Instagram, there's all these plus-size models. Oh, healthy at any size. Oh, big is beautiful. No, it's not. Listen. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I'm beholding it, and it's not beautiful. If you're fat, you know, you shouldn't be on the cover of, like, you know, some glamour magazine, Sports Illustrated or whatever.
Some people would argue, though, that what you are doing by doing that is reflecting the reality of life rather than sugarcoating it, pardon the pun.
I don't want reality.
No, Leo's right. It normalises bad behaviour.
Yeah, but it's
it normalises obesity. That's
well, actually, looking at it, obesity, it seems to be the norm. So it's not normalising something that doesn't exist. Most people, as it says with Cancer Research UK, is saying that within a very short time, within 5 years, the number of people who are obese will outnumber those who are of a healthy weight. So it is actually not good for you, but it is normal.
But this trend towards, like, identifying, I'm fat, but I identify as healthy. Like, you can't identify as healthy. You can't be obese and healthy at the same time, which is what people are claiming. You know, there's a healthy at any size movement.
Well, I think it's more of the mindset. So, look, I think that people need to take control of that. I don't believe the government should be saying, you know, we're going to cancel the bog offs. If you want to buy this thing, you should be allowed to buy it. I don't see why. You know, you're quite happy to take the tax from this stuff, so let people get on with it. This is why the government have probably unbanned it, as Tam has said. But actually, it's deeper than that, and people have psychological issues that cause them to eat in that way. I know, I was a trainer, and I gave up training people because I just got sick and tired of people making up stories. I'd say to them, look, so what did you have for breakfast? They go, I'd get them to write a food diary, because a lot of them would say, I don't eat very much, I don't really know I'm fat. It was like that Secret Eaters, if you've ever watched that show, it's hilarious. And these people would say, and then they'd start writing down, cup of tea, do you have any sugar? Yes, how many? Seven sugars in it. Yeah. Then they'd do a perfectly normal thing, but 7 cups of tea during that day. And I would say, well, if you could just cut out the cup of tea or reduce the sugar in the tea, I think your problems would be over. But they don't listen.
Other than a very few number of health disorders,
so it's not
two reasons people are fat. Eating too much, not exercising enough. It's as simple as that.
Well, there's also hormones. Hormones exist. So hormones can be there are hormones that can prohibit you from losing weight as well. There are other psychological factors that the body can...
Hearing a lot at the moment about it's a cost of living
crisis
and stuff. But Lee Anderson MP was right in this. Actually, it's cheaper to buy fresh vegetables and cook them, like you just said, than to buy fast food and processed food. Yeah. So if people want to live healthily, they can do.
They
And
just can't
if
be
it's
bothered,
down to
can they?
hormones, how come when they go to a place of famine or they liberate a concentration camp, there's nobody in there, all fat, being like, oh, it must be my hormones?
Yeah, well, no, well, you know, but hormones can affect the way your body digests and processes food, for sure, and the way you absorb fat. Right, let's
I think
see.
it's an excuse.
No, well, whatever.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.